But let's shift focus and let's speak to PNGRB and let's try and understand what the story really is over there, whether there is going to be a higher gas allocation for CGDs and what would it really mean. We have with us Gajendra Singh, a member PNGRB, joining in on the show right now. Mr. Singh, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us. Welcome to ET Now.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Right. I want to talk about the rise in allocation. What is the source of this new APM gas? If you could just highlight that.
Uh, as far as the allocation is there, as we all know that CGD sector is the highest priority as far as once the gas allocation is being there. So currently, what it is learned that the APM gas, which was going to the LPG processing plant, particularly of ONGCs and GAIL processing plants, now that have been withdrawn and now have been diverted to CGD. So now CGD now is given a priority. So now they are getting a almost 3.5 million gas will get added. So earlier this total allocation was 13 million. Now it will go up to 16.5. So the for CNG particularly they were getting 37%. So now it will go. They will get for 51%. So that was a good move, and I think this all CGD entity was saying that there is a policy uh, changes and all other things. I mean, it's the priority, and whenever the government sees that there is a gas somewhere available, it gets diverted to that.
No, fair enough, but one can obviously argue as to what changed within a matter of a few days, because if it was a priority area earlier, there shouldn't have been any reduction in any case. But I understand how it really works. But do you anticipate a further increase from here on? Is there a scope of further divergence and further allocation coming to CGDs?
Ma'am, I mean, as you know, that gas allocation is with government. Okay, it's not with a regulator. What we see wherever they feel, and depending upon the all other conditions, that this gas can be diverted, so they divert. So they this time they found LPG, but now APM gas is very limited. We have to see that all the APM gas which is there, it is being produced from Mumbai High, which is getting given to the CGD entity. So 80-90% is from Mumbai High, and this is an old producing field. If there is a decline in the volume, then definitely there will be a decline, and all the CGD entities knows this, and they make their arrangement accordingly.
Okay, point taken. But has PNGRB made any representation to the government to cut the excise duty on CNG from 14% to, let's say, 7 or 5%? What's the probability to your mind of a excise duty cut coming in for CNG?
So, like we keep on, as far as regulator point of view is there, we are very focused on developing an infrastructure all across country. If you see the CNG station now growing very fast, every year you see that there is a growth of almost 1,000 CNG station, new CNG stations are coming. CNG vehicles are also, there's a good growth is there in the CNG vehicles. So whenever we feel that we interact with the government, and but the focus for regulatory point of view is that we are focused in developing an infrastructure all across country, so that everywhere we have the CNG stations are in place. Only thing that how we can bring down the cost. There are the number of components involved, like regas charges. If RLNG is being given into the that for CNG, they are using RLNG also. There are the other area, the taxes and all other things. So government is uh, s- aware of all those things, and we keep on interacting time to time with them. So wherever they feel that there is a opportunity, they will take a decision on that. So from government point of view, I don't see for CGD business there is any U-turn, and from regulatory point of view there is any negative on the CGD. Everybody feel that whatever the investment we can bring into the CGD and for the development of PNG and CNG, everybody is for that.
Right. The other thing, Mr. Singh, I wanted to talk about, and that's really been a long-standing debate, whether or not gas is going to be brought under the GST ambit. What do you think is the probability?
We all wish that that should be that should be brought under the GST, because this is something the entity. which are paying the GST, and particularly which are not under, till it is not under GST, they are paying a very high VAT in different states. And particularly the geographical areas which we have authorized in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th round, there's a far plunge areas, and there the VAT charges are very high. If you see in Delhi, there is a zero VAT, so they are good. But if you go further in UP or Himachal or Uttarakhand, there's a VAT charges varying from 20%, more than 20%. So that's what it is hitting to the this business. So everybody wishes that it should be brought under GST, and government also want that. That's what we understand. So everybody wishes that if it comes under GST, it will really help in expanding CGD further.
The other thing, Mr. Singh, which has really been the talk right now, given that there's been so much back and forth in the last 3 months alone, multiple changes in regulations related to city gas distribution companies, don't you think such uncertainty really impacts investments as well? How would you defend that?
What are I don't know what is being referred here, that back and forth, because wherever we see that regulation keep evolving, wherever we see that there is a possibility of improvements, we keep coming. And if you see that there is a well-defined process, we call the public consultation, we call the open house, we talk with all stakeholders. Normally, 30 to 40 entities do come here, and we talk with each of them, and after that then we come to the paper that okay, how it is going to be taken further. So it is a concern that how we can bring down the cost to the end consumers so that they feel a little bit happy.
Yes, getting the cost down and making the customers happy is the ultimate goal. But correct me if I'm wrong, but a few days back, PNGRB had floated a paper on bringing regasification activity under the ambit as well. I think this was something which was floated earlier as well, but you didn't go through with it. What changed now? Why are you looking at getting into this regasification activity now?
No, it's not correct that we keep on doing the under our in-house studies. And whenever we see that there is a, because if you see the background, we have called the public consultation process. We started here. We called the open house, wherein 35 plus entities came here when we were talking for how to do the registration for this LNG regas terminals. So during those discussions, the few points have come that there it needs correction. So we are not interfering into their day-to-day business. We are saying once there should be a, whenever any LNG regas terminal comes, the infrastructure should be ready so that optic of evacuation of gas, there should not be of any problem. That is point number one. Second, we see there are the, because that was a discussion, during the discussion it has come that this charges, regas charges are high. So there we feel that we carried out the study and we see there are the areas where some definitely some course correction can be done. Like boil off is one of the factor where we see global market and we see here how it is being there. Here it is being 0.66, which is very high as compared to if you see the international market. If you see the annual escalation of 5%, there also we see that that is up to that till entity is getting 12% return or 13% return. But once it is there, that should not be there. So there are the course correction the entity needs to do. We are not interfering into their business, and that is not currently, it is not there in the act also. Act is limited right now for registering of entities, and that exercise we are carrying out, and we will come out with a regulation how those entities needs to be registered in with PNGRB. Yeah.
How soon would the regulation like this come into place, sir?
Sorry. Yeah, regulation are going to be big because we have already done the public consultation, and now the regulation with regard to the because there are the one is the act also give this there's a section which gives that we have to do the registration, and secondly government have issued the what we call the guidelines how to do that. There are the guidelines, they have guidelines, and there's the act. We are following that, and accordingly the open house was conducted, wherein all the stakeholders, supplier, transporter, regas terminal, even the consumer, number of consumers were there. and they have given their views. So based on that, we have already formalized this regulation, and maybe shortly it will come out with the regulation for the registration of this LNG regas terminals.
Okay, and will the regulator and regulation also consider regulating or capping the regasification charges in any fashion? Is that something also that could be on the agenda?
No, I did mention that our role is only for the registration of, because the objective is that whenever this regas terminal comes, there should be a corresponding pipeline infrastructure should be ready for, so as smoothly the evacuation should be there. Now we have seen in past, there are the number of terminals are coming. They are not, basically we don't have those kind of information where they are going to take the gas. And once they are coming up, then everybody see that there's a bottleneck for the infrastructure. We want that advance action whenever any terminal comes, like for Dhamra. We can take an example of Dhamra, because we were having information. So pipeline was made in that way that it should synchronize. Whenever they are this Dhamra LNG regas terminal commission, our pipeline were also ready, infrastructure were ready. So immediately the volume start flowing from the next few days. So it should not happen that one infrastructure where we are incurring a cost of 5,000, 4 to 5,000, setting up a plant, and the pipeline is not ready as far as the evacuation is the limitation. So that kind of situation should not come. So that's what it needs to have the registration with us. So we are well aware of, because whenever we are doing the infrastructure, pipeline infrastructure, as you know that there is a unified tariff. Whenever we put some investment in the pipeline, it gets added into the consumer's tariff. So that's what we want, that whenever we are pretty sure that, okay, these are the terminals coming up, these are the volumes coming, then only we can do these things. So as consumers, because end of the day, consumers have to pay. So that should be taken care of.
No, I understand that you're saying your focus is on investment creation, but you're also talking about how you're looking at making sure that the consumers get it at the right price. So just making sure that there will be no regulation on the charges, in the sense that they will be free to charge and go ahead with the annual price escalations as they want to do, as far as the regasification charges are concerned.
You're right. Like we have to initiate a discussions. So basically, this paper, what you were referring earlier, this was only to initiate a discussion. Okay, there is some issue which during public consultation this was point out. So we want to have, what is that? What is global practices? What is here? How? Because somebody say it is only 5 to 6% of the total, but that is too much for the consumers who are supplying a gas for CNG or PNG in the far-flung areas, because their margins are very minimum, or maybe they are selling at cost or somewhere in a negative. So these margins do matter. So not only this, we are seeing that in the tariff, in all the places wherever it needs a correction, course correction, that should be there. So it should be now all across country, we can have this similar kind of prices.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.